Game of Thrones will come to an end tonight after 8 seasons. The show, famous for killing off its main characters, may have a few surprises left for fans tuning in this evening. But perhaps one of the biggest surprises so far this season is how poorly the episodes have been received by some fans and critics. Now, even though reviews for the final season are mixed, many fans would agree the lasting cultural impact of the show is undeniable. So for more on this, I'm joined by Myles Mcnutt. He is an associate professor of communications at Old Dominion University, and he also reviews the show for the online newspaper and entertainment website, the AV Club. And he joins us now from Nova Scotia. Thank you for joining us, Myles. You have been following Game of Thrones since day one, correct? And I want your opinion, first of all. How do you think things are going?
I think it's sort of your point. So obviously there's some fans who are a little bit upset about the way things have gone at different points. I think this is still among the most impressive TV shows in terms of spectacle, in terms of the sort of scale of what's being told in this story. And I think there's been some great moments in this final season. But I think it's also reminded us of how difficult it is to land a show this complex and this difficult with only 6 episodes. And so I'm not shocked to see some of the audience response around that. I've had my own critiques, but ultimately I think, because, like you say, the cultural impact is sort of undeniable, and it's sort of hard to navigate all of that with so much happening story-wise.
And, you know, when we talk about that cultural impact and certainly also the personal impact for you, I wanted to ask how you are feeling leading up to, or just a few hours away, the end now of so much of what you've dedicated your life to.
Right. Well, first, I feel like I need a nap before the finale. Yeah, no, at least a decade. It's a decade when you think about it in that context. I mean, I think there's a lot sort of going into that. I think as someone who writes about the show critically, I think my job after the finale tonight is to go, like, take a few hours and try to condense this into thoughts and responses and try to navigate that. For an average viewer, though, I think the benefit now is that we sort of will sit with this, we'll have our reaction to it, positive, negative, etc. But it's the end of a long journey. And for some people, that journey has been, in my case, a decade of my life. Other people started the show 4 weeks ago and spent every waking hour catching up on it. But they're still going to feel the weight of the story coming to an end and that sort of moment. And so the best thing I will say is that I'm looking forward to talking about it with people, to have a conversation, in my case online or in person or anywhere else, of just like how we feel about this, and to have sort of a big moment where we're all together kind of talking about something like that. That's why we watch TV. That's why I study TV. That's why it's such a part of my life. And certainly this show echoes that.
So aside from you and I and millions of others who are so excited to watch this evening and who are excited about every conversation about the show, there are, of course, so many people who never really got into it. So my question is, what would you say to them makes this show so different?
I mean, it's hard for me to sort of capture in some ways, because I read the books when I was a teenager, and I'm like, this is a really dense story. I knew nobody else who read them, and so it was sort of like this very niche thing. So to see it be this huge mainstream phenomenon, I'm sort of like still a little bit perplexed as to how that happened. But what I will say is that right now, the reason to start watching is so you can be a part of this conversation. But after the fact, I think it's a matter of seeing a story that is very much kind of no holds barred, kind of, you know, that kills characters you don't expect it to kill. It really takes a lot of choices in terms of the way it tells its story, but also, of course, the spectacle, some amazing battle sequences and everything else. So if those are all things that you're interested in, certainly it's something to catch up on and move through. But at the same time, part of me feels as though you're going to miss the huge cultural conversation part of this, that sort of being in this moment is a lot of where the value of the show lies.
And you know, it's interesting, Myles, because in this era of social media and digital interaction, so many people feel that they should have ownership on the way the show is going. And season 8 in particular, as we were talking about, has not been very well received by so many fans. And in fact, there's more than 1 million who have signed this petition saying that they want to rewrite, they want to redo. Is that fair? Should fans be able to weigh in so much, given the fact that they have made it into the cultural phenomenon that it is?
So fans should absolutely be able to weigh in. The best thing I would say is that fans should absolutely be able to weigh in. Fans 100% should have an opinion and are able to express that. I think the idea of a petition trying to force HBO to change their production decisions is a little bit misguided in this respect. I think it's not going to happen, but also I think more importantly, this is what fan fiction is for. This is what fans have always sort of gone to when a story doesn't go their way. I think It's wrong that a fan should feel entitled to it going the way they want, but a fan should 100% be entitled to their reaction. And I think they have reason to be frustrated, and I think they have every right to express that in that way. The best thing I would say in this circumstance is that petition is maybe not the right path towards this, but certainly I feel like for fans to sort of be a part of this dialogue and engage with that as a critic, as a scholar, I think it's important that they express that, the fans have that kind of reaction that demonstrates, if anything, the show is doing its job, if maybe not doing the job exactly as those fans hoped.
A really interesting discussion. Thank you so much for this, Myles.